Good morning and good afternoon again. This is Ramya Murali from Exxat. Thank you for joining us for M1M webinar part 3. This is the final webinar on the M1M series. In today's discussion, we will be discussing about how you can manage the offered slots and how you can manage the FCFS slots, and then how you can send out reminders to the sites. So that's the agenda for today. Helping me today on this webinar are two of my colleagues, Harsha and Ami. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. This webinar is recorded and you will receive a copy of the recording 2 hours after the webinar is completed. You will also be able to find the recording on our Exxat YouTube channel. Please use the question section to ask questions or comment throughout the session. We will be manning the questions and addressing them as we go by. If you have any technical difficulties, please use the chat box and we will be able to help you with that. During the course of this webinar, we will be using the live system and slides as and when needed. And we can quickly get started. Okay, so before we actually move on to today's agenda, we just wanted to give you some statistics of how the M1M webinar has so far, M1M has gone in so far. So for example, like we've just got the final update as of Friday. Around 94,000 emails have gone out, and then 217 schools have completed their slot request. And we still have some programs where we have about 40-ish schools who have not yet configured the slot request. Our support team will be exclusively reaching out to these programs, and then we will be offering some help if they require any help from our end. And we also see that there are about 23 schools who have actually set up the slot request, but they have not scheduled the emails so far. So again, we will also be reaching out to these programs to provide any support that they may require. So this is the update for Prism. And for steps, when we say steps version 3, we do have few schools which are in version 3 and they are doing their M1M in version 3. Again, from that point of view, we have sent out the slot request for all the schools, and then there are about 7,200 emails so far have gone out from version 3 as well. So just wanted to give you that update. And then 97% of emails have been delivered, and then we are receiving slots from the locations and sites, and then you might be seeing that as well at your end. So just wanted to give you the statistics before we move on to the agenda for today. All right. So today's agenda is going to be all these. We are going to discuss about how you can manage the slots that you have received, and then how you can manage the responses. We've talked about a bit of how to manage the responses in the previous webinars, but today we will be going in depth on all those. And then we will also be discussing about how you can publish the slots to the students and how you can manage the first come first serve slots. And then last but not the least, how you can send out the email reminders. So you would have received, you would be receiving the slots by now, but just in case some sites would have responded no, or some sites would have said contact me later, or some sites would not even have responded to the slot request, right? How you can go and reach back to those sites. So we'll be discussing in all these three topics for today. So let's quickly jump on to the slides on how to manage the slots. All right. Okay. So today we can see how you can view or manage slots, right? There are different entry points in the system through which you can go into the system and view the slots at that level. So you can view the slots by site, meaning at the parent level, you can see what are the slots that you have received. you can go into individual locations and see how many slots are received at that level. And then you can go by course, like for example, you wanted to see what are the slots that you have received only for clinical practicum 1. You can go by that particular course. Or let's say you want to group certain courses together. Let's say you want to see all the slots that you have received for a particular calendar year or for a particular cohort, for example, right? Like for class of 2025, you wanted to see what are the slots that you have received. Then you create a placement group and you can manage those slots, right? And then we will also go over the response report. So this is what we are going to see in today. So let's see how you can view the slots at the site level. So the first thing is you will go into the sites, click on sites from the left menu. Then on the sites tab, you will choose your respective site for which you want to see the slots. Then you will click on that, and then you get to see the site's details page. Then in that you will click on the slots section. And once you are here, you are going to see all the slots that are offered at this site across multiple locations which are under this site, right? So again, this is a very detailed view where you see all the slots for all the locations under this site across all the cohorts. But you might be interested to see the slots only for a particular cohort or for a particular setting, right? In that case, you just have to click on the filter that's available here. And once you click on the filter option, you have variety of options to choose from. And from here, you can either choose the cohort filter, let's say class of 2025, right? And then just see the slots that are available only for 2025. Or you choose the setting filter to filter out inpatient slots. Or you choose the slot type to see whether it's an FCFS slot or interview required slot. And similarly, choose the supervision type to understand whether it's a one student to one CI or one student to two CIs, like whatever is the option that you have configured here. And then the status of the slots, right? Whether it's a confirmed slot or whatever, right? And then the slots availability. So you have multiple filters available over here, which you can choose from and then apply those filters and then just see those slots at that particular site level, right? So this is how you can manage the slots at the parent level, or as we call it, sites. Okay, so let's quickly switch back to the system and see how to do this. So you go into the sites tab, click on this particular menu, click on any site that you see here, go to the slots, and this is how you get to see all the slots at this site. Now here you have the ability to edit it. Click on the edit pen and you can make modifications to those slots, right? So you have a lot of options available here to change the start date and end date and things like that. Just click on this edit pen to make modification to the slots. And same way, if you want to add a slot, you can just click on this add button. And as soon as you click on this, you will be able to choose the location here. So that's the best part of this feature, where if you want to add a slot at a particular location, you will choose this location from this drop down, and you can choose the CI, and then you can choose the setting, and then you can put the status as tentative if you would like to, and put the slot type as first come first serve or interview required, right? And choose the supervision type from one student to one CI or two students to two CI, whatever it is. And then add any notes that you want to add. And then you can choose the rotation for which you're planning to add these slots for, right? This is how you can add a slot at an individual location, but you are clicking on this add slot. Just I'm just going out of this page just to say that this is the add slot button that you will click to add the slots for certain locations under this site. So that's the benefit of using the add slot functionality, which is available under a particular site. So you are within a site, and within that site, if you have multiple locations, from here you will be able to add slots for multiple locations that are under this site. Moving back to the slides. So we are showing you how you can add the slot. You click on the add slot button, fill in the required information over here, and then click on save. So moving on to the next. So you choose multiple parameters here, the calendar year, the rotation, then the settings, and then the number of students, and then you will click on save. So moving on to the next one, which is managing slots by location. Now, this is something that you might use when you know that this is the particular location at which you wanted to manage the slots for, or if you want to revisit that particular location and update the slot numbers from 2 to 3 or something of that sort, right? So to do that, you will click on sites, click on locations this time, and then click on the specific location for which you wanted to make changes to the slots. Then click on the slots tab. Then you are here, and then the same thing. So whatever functionality that you saw under the site, same feature is available under the location, but here you are already at a particular location, and then you're adding the slot only for that particular location. But in the site-based view, you can add slots at different locations which fall under that site. That's the only difference. But other than that, you have all the features that you had under the site. So same thing. So you are here, you clicked on the slot, you will click on the edit pen to make modifications to the slot. And if you want to add a slot, you will just click on add slot and then fill in the required parameters. But as you can see that the location option is frozen here because you're already in a particular location. So that's the only difference between the site-based view and then the location-based view. Yeah. I just want to give a pause here and then ask if there are any questions. Amit, do you see any questions?
Just checking in. Ramya, there's a question that when will there be an option to select regular slot type? Sites are getting confused on selecting FCFS when they want to just add in regular slot.
All right. So what we are recommending is on the slot request link, if you can inform the sites to not choose any options there, right? They'll always be converted into a regular slots. That's one option. And then the other thing is if you can put in a support ticket, we can add a slot type called as regular, and then they can also choose that from the drop down. So two things. One is the slot type is not mandatory. So if they don't choose anything, it'll be a defaulted to regular. But if for some reason they are wanting to choose a regular as an option, please raise a support ticket by emailing to v4support@exxat.com, and they'll be able to add that extra slot type for you.
Okay, thank you, Ramya. We have one another question. What do the colors mean related to slots? Blue, green, yellow, etc.
So those are the setting colors. So under program details, if you had set up the colors for a particular setting, then that particular setting color is what is going to show up. So it's basically the color that you give for every single setting.
Thank you, Ramya. We have one more question. What is the best way to communicate with site that you have added a slot?
Okay, so is it more like you're telling them that the slot is confirmed? Is that what it is? Or
Um,
or
yeah, it's
or
like
is it more like
basically
you're
how
saying,
they have secured that particular slot and they just want to reiterate the same.
okay. So there are a couple of options. So when you configure the slot request, right? If you had turned on, so I'm just clicking on the slot request configuration. Here there is an ability where it says you can send out an automated acknowledgement to the site, right? If you had set this to yes, and if you have configured this email template, whenever a site has offered a slot, an automated email is going to go out to them. So that's one way to manage this. Or so that's one way to manage or send an acknowledgement to the site. Or under placements, so let's say if I'm going to a particular placement group, right? You will click on the slots page, and in the list view, you can notify the site, right? So you, let's say you just click on this and then click on notify site, right? And then here is where you can compose email. So this is one way for you to send out a slot confirmation email, right? That we have received your spot, and then thanks for providing this, right? Something like that. So you can send out a confirmation email to the site using this option. So just to reiterate, if you wanted to send out a slot confirmation email, one is to use the automated acknowledgement that you already have under slot request configuration, or go into placements, go to the slots view, click on the list. You can select how many ever slots that you want, and then just click on notify site. So this is the way that you can use to send out the slot confirmation email. All right. So moving back to the slides, are there any further
Yes.
questions?
Yes, we have one more question. How are sent emails accessed for review? For example, if a question arises regarding the slot. So I think they are asking how does the site communicates back if they have any questions regarding the slot that they are offering.
Okay, so whenever the site clicks on reply to your slot request email, right? So the reply back is going to come to the reply to email address that you have configured, right? So whenever you are, so going back to the live system, I just wanted to quickly show that. So you go into the sites, and in your slot request configuration, if you are here, right? So when you're about to send your emails, there is a question for you to specify the reply to email address, right? So let's say if I'm here in the compose email section, sorry, in the previous page. So here you can set up the reply to email address, right? So by default, it will be the person who has logged in or whatever is set up at the program details level, or you can override it here always. So whenever this site responds back to the slot request email, the emails will be directed to the reply to email address. So you are going to basically receive those questions and you can respond back to their individual queries.
Thank you, Ramya. And then we have couple of questions. They are requesting to see the dashboard, the email dashboard part. I believe you are covering in the next section.
Yeah, we will be covering it in a bit. Yeah,
Okay. Thank
all right. Okay, so moving back to our slides. So we were discussing about how you can manage the slots at the site level, location level. Now here we are where we are managing the slots at the course level. So let's say you wanted to view the slots that are offered for a particular course, say Clinical Practicum 1. Then you will go into placements, click on the specific coursework, Then you end up here, and then you will click on the slots, and this is the view that you get, where you get to see the dashboard view and then obviously the list view. So dashboard is just giving you a nice summary of the data. And then the list view is going to give you the details of it, right? So you will just click on the list, and here is where you get to see all the slots. Now here again, you have the ability to do a filter, you have the ability to edit the slot, right? So you have all those capabilities here. And in addition to that, we also have the ability to notify the students just in case, right? We will be talking about publishing the slots to the student. So for that, you will be able to use the notify student. Now, just few seconds before, we were answering a question where how you can send out the confirmation email to the sites, right? This is where you will come in, right? You will click on all the locations here and then click on the notify site option. And then you can also use the email history to see the history of whether the emails were delivered to the site or not. And then this is the section where you will click on this export icon to export all the slots that you have received. And there is also a tools option here where you can choose what are the columns that you want to show up in the report, right? So let's say you wanted to see only the location name, the rotation name, the cohort name, and then probably the settings or few other columns, right? So you can just click on this tools icon and choose which are the columns that you want in the report and what is the order of the column that you want in the report. Similarly, you can use the filter icon to filter by the list of slots and then uh, make modifications to it. So this is another view where you can view by course. So we'll quickly see this. So you can use the export option to export it into an Excel. You use the tools option to specify the columns that you want in the export to Excel. And then you choose the filter. So yeah, this is how you choose the columns, right? So these are all the columns that show up on the report, but for some reason you don't want to see the site name or the last updated on all those, right? You can delete them, or you can choose these icons to move them up and down. So you can specify or reorder the columns using this. Then you also have the filter option, obviously to filter through all the parameters that we already saw. Like you can use a cohort filter, rotation, setting, slot type, supervision type, and status filters and slots availability filter to filter through the list of slots that you have, right? And then you also have the edit option to click on and make changes to the slots. You can see this. Now, moving on to how you can manage the slots by placement group. So we will be seeing how to create a placement group in a bit, but let's say you have created a group. So you can group certain courses together. So it depends on how you manage your courses, right? Some of you would want to see like what are the slots that are offered for cohort 2024, or some of you would want to see what are the slots that are offered for the calendar year 2024, right? So depending upon your need, create a placement group. Now once you have created the group, then within that group all those courses that are part of that group can be added, and then you can manage the slots at the group level. So you click on placements for group, then it takes you to this page. Then you can click on the slots option there, and then you will be able to see a dashboard view, which gives you a summary, and then the list view, which gives the details of all the slots that are added for that placement group. So within that placement group, you can have 4 course offerings or 5 course offerings, how many ever you want, you can add it within that group, but you get to see all the slots that are offered for all those rotations that are part of that group. So that's the benefit of grouping things together. And most likely we have seen schools create this placement group by cohort because that's the easiest way that you manage all your slots. And again, in this page, you have the same ability that you had at the course page. So you have the option to see by rotations or sort through by rotations. And then you also have the ability to notify student, notify the site, view the email history, and then you also have the ability to export it into Excel, specify the columns that you have, that you want in that Excel, and then you can also use the filter. And similarly, you also have the editability to edit all the slots that you have. All right. So just wanted to call this out, where we just saw how you can manage the slots through a placement group, right? Now you might wonder how you can create those placement group. So in order to do that, you will click on placements, then click on add group. Now here is where you specify the name of the group. It could be calendar year 2024 or cohort 2024. So you can name your group based on your interest, and then click on next. Then you should be able to choose the course offerings. Now here you can specify a particular calendar here, or a cohort or term or professional year or academic year. You can choose through all these filters and click on search. Now once you do that, all the course offerings that are associated with that search criteria is going to show up here, and you can individually choose all those course offerings and then click on next. Now, once you click on the next, it is going to show you a review screen. If you are good, you also have the ability to delete one or more from this list. Now, once you do that, click on save, and that's going to create your group. All right, I'll take a quick pause here and see if you have any questions. Ami, are there any questions?
We had couple of questions we answered via chat, but I think this can be beneficial to everyone. If a school reaches out to a site to request a slot or a placement and the site says no, where can we enter that information in Exxat?
Okay, so if the site responded no through the slot request, that response is already captured in the system, right? So I'm just quickly switching back to the system. So let's say I'm just clicking on the slot request, and I'm going to the response report. That's the next topic for today. So let's say if this particular site said, I don't have any slots, right? Now you can see this is already updated here because they have chosen that option as no in the link. That's one way. Or if the site replies back to you to your email and says that, oh, I don't have any slots, right? Then what will happen is you will come here. You can just click on this edit pen and then update the status as no slots to offer. So there are a couple of options here for you. Either the site does this through the slot request link itself, where they choose the option as no slots to offer. But if they don't do that through the slot request link and they just send you an email, then here is what you do. So you come in here, you click on this edit pen and then change the response as no slots to offer. So that's how you can manage this. Right? Any other questions, Ami, before I move on?
A
Ramya, we
follow-up.
can also,
Sure.
yeah, Ramya, we can also do that via location slot section as well. That also we can quickly show. So let's say if you got a response from a particular location for this slot request, we don't have a slot, or contact us later via an offline channel, not from this particular electronic link, delegator link. So they can click on manage request response at the top, not here, manage request response, if you can come out.
Here?
Yeah. The same screen, they can just choose, let's say there is a particular slot request for which slot no slots to offer has to be updated or contact later. I think here all the slots have all the requests have the slots. Let's assume that if there is one, for which there is no response, but you have freshly received it over an email or a call, you can come here, you can change the status, put a note or add any documents or something if needed. You can do it from here as well. One way is to do from particular location, manage request response. Another way is you can go to that, main report across all the locations where you can see the response. From there also we can do.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks Harsha for that note. So just to reiterate what Harsha said, one is what we saw through this emails and then response report. That's one way to do it. Or you go to the direct location. Let's say this location tells you that. So you click on that particular location, go to the slots page, and then click on manage request response. And then you can see this for this configuration, you have not received response. So you choose the option as no slots to offer and then update it. All right. But let's say if this particular location has already offered a slot, right? Let's say here in this case, they have already offered the slot, right? In that case, if you try to change this to no or contact later, the system will not let you to do it. But wherever there is no response, meaning that you have sent the slot request for this year, but they have not responded to you, and then but they have emailed you and said there is no slots to offer, you can always go through this page and then say update the response as no slots to offer. Right, we'll quickly move on to the next topic, which is response management. So we just started with how to manage the responses. So we will go back to the system. Before we go back to the system, I just wanted to cover what is already there in the slides. So you will go into the Sites tab and then click on the same email section. And for the slot request configuration for which you are about to manage things, you will click on the response report here. Now here is where you get to see the responses, right? So you need to make sure you click on the slot request tab here, because there'll be two tabs here, one for update location information and the other one for slot request. So we recommend that you click on the slot request, and once you have clicked on it, you get to see the slot request response. Now you can, so wherever the slots are offered, you're going to see the status as slots offered, and then you can click on the view button to see what are the slots offered. So this is one thing where just in case you want to see how many slots are offered at these locations, right? So this is an easy way for you to look at it. Right. Now the next thing is, again, I'm just navigating to the same location. So you click on the sites, go to the emails tab, and then these are the different responses that you see, right? So I'm not sure if you are able to make this from the screen clearly. So let me go back to the system, and I wanted to show this to you so that I can zoom in a bit. So go to the emails, then click on the response report. Now you can see there are various statuses that you see here, right? One where it says no slots to offer, that means that this site has told you that there are no slots to offer, right? And it is going to show as updated by site usually, right? So if they have responded as no slots to offer through the slot request link, this particular tag will not show up. But let's say they have emailed you or made a phone call to you and told you that there are no slots to offer, and you have updated it manually, then it's going to show up as no slots to offer, and it will say updated by school. Okay, so this is just the scenario we discussed in response to a question that came a bit ago. So this is what you see. Now let's say there are slots offered, and then but they have not clicked on the link and offered the slots, right? Let's say they filled a paper form and then they send that paper form to you, right? And you manually entered the slots at that location. Then it is going to show the status as slots offered, and then it is going to show the status as updated by school. So just wanted to call this out. Last year, this feature was not there. So even if you manually added a slot, it is still going to show the status as no response here because the slots were never added through the slot request link. But this year, we have introduced this enhancement. So whenever a site fills a paper copy and you manually added the slots at that site, it is not going to show up as no response. It is going to still show up as slots offered, and it is going to say it is updated by school. And again, if you click on view slots, you can see what are the slots that are offered. Okay, so this is the page that's opening up to show the list of slots that are offered. I'm just going back to the previous screen. Now here you can see another status, right? Whenever a site tells you to contact later on a later date, and then it's going to show that contact later and what date they have mentioned. Now, if the site has offered the slot through the slot request link, then you're going to see the status as slots offered, and you can click on this view to see the slots that are offered. So these are the different statuses that you can see here. And if the site has not even responded, there is going to be one more status which will say no response. But those are the 5 or 6 main statuses that are associated with the slot request response. Now in this screen, you also have the ability to export it into an Excel, and then you can also change the order of the columns in that export to Excel. And then you can also do a filter here, right? So if you just want to see which are the sites which have not even responded, you can just choose that in the response type and then apply the filter. There are none at this point of time, so that's why there is nothing showing up. Similarly, you can use the state filter, location area filter, the category filter, and then the settings filter. So these are all the options that you have to filter out your responses and manage the responses. All right, so this is exclusively for slot request, but if you want to manage the responses related to update location information, so you will click on this tab and then see what was the update that has come in, right? Like for example, at this location, they have told you to say, I need COVID-19 vaccine report, right? So that shows up as a requirement, and then you can make modification to the location requirement accordingly. Come back here, click on this and say it has been updated. Like you can say mark as updated and then click on save. Yep. So there are a couple of tabs here. So just wanted to reiterate this. So if you are trying to manage your responses, you are going to click on the emails, click on the response report, view your responses here. There are multiple statuses that we went over, and then you can export the data into Excel, filter through the responses, and view the slots that you have received only for a particular location area or for particular location settings. And then there are 2 tabs here. One is exclusively for the slot request, and the other one is for update location information. All right, so we'll be moving on to the slides. So we just saw all this. So we saw the different statuses, and then we also have the ability to edit those responses. So I'm going to show that as well in the screen. So you are here, right? Now the site said to contact later on Feb 29th. Now you come back on this particular date, let's say March 29th, for example, right? And you make a reach out to them, but they come back to you and say, contact me at another date. Now, instead of Feb 29th, they say that contact me on April 29th, right? Or May 29th. You can come back here and make this update. Or you made a reach out on May 29th, and on that day they said, no, I don't have any slots to offer. Then you can update the response to no slots offered, no slots to offer. So those are the things that you can do here by clicking on this edit pen. So you see different statuses, you can also change the statuses. So those are the options that you have. And then there is this last updated by, which is going to say like who made changes to those slots, right? And then the last updated on will tell you when the change was made. So you get the history of what's going on. So moving back to the slides. Yep, so the slides are showing you how you can edit the responses. So you go into the sites, you click on that particular email section, you are in the response management report, you click on the edit pen and you get to change the options here. Okay, I'll take a quick pause here and then want to see if you have any questions. Ami, are there any questions at this point of time?
Um, oh yeah, there's one question. Will the school receive a reminder to each of the site when they ask to be contacted later?
Yes, so we will be covering that as the last topic of today. We'll be showing you that. But just to quickly answer that, you're going to do that through the send emails feature. So there are filters in this section, which you will use to say like, which are the locations who have not responded. And then just filter through that, get the list of sites and then select them all and resend the email. So there is one way to do that. So we'll be going over that in a bit. Okay.
Um, we also have one additional request. Uh, they want to go over how to associate a student with a slot.
Yes. So that's making a placement at that particular slot, but we will be covering that. But if this is something related to the first come first serve slot, that is the next topic that we are going to cover today. So there are two things that we are talking here. So if it is like, if you want to publish a first come first serve slot to a student, get the student interest on it and then send those notification to the site and then have the site tell you back which student that they are going to take in. That's managing the first come first serve slot, which is what we are going to cover right now. But if it's just associating a student to a slot, that is called as placement. We will try to see if we can cover it today towards the end of the webinar, or we can take it up in another webinar as well. Yeah. Any other questions, Ami?
No, that are all the questions that I have.
All right. Moving on to the one of the important asked topics for today, which is how you can manage the first come first serve slots, or how you can publish a slot to the student, right? So we have a way in the system where you can publish the slots to the student. Let's say you start receiving multiple slots. Some of them could be interview required or first come first serve, right? And then you want to push that to the students immediately and get their interest. So that's something that you can do in the system. Most likely this feature is used for first come first serve slots. So we will be showing you how to do that today. Right? So moving on. So the first thing that you need to do is go to the placement section. Then click on the particular coursework or click on the particular placement group for which you want to do this. Now, once you had done this, you are here. Go to the slots page. Now you see the dashboard and the list view. Now you're going to click on the list. Now this is where you get to see all the slots that are offered for that particular clinical practice. Now you will use the filter options that you have here, and then once you apply the filter, you get to see the list of slots that meet the search criteria. Let's say you filter it out only by FCFS slots. right? You get to see only those FCFS slots here. You select them here by just doing a select all or individually choose the locations. Now you would have to click on notify student. So this is how you publish the slots to the students. And once you click on this notify option, it is going to view the list of students. It is going to show the list of students who are going to receive this, right? Now you can select maybe out of all the 10 students or 20 students who are registered for this particular coursework, you want to publish these first come first serve slots to only a priority of students, right? Then you can use this section to remove certain students from this list. And once you have done that, click on the publish slots. Now, when you do this, it is going to publish the slots. So you just have to click on yes. And then after publishing the slots, if you really want to send an email notification as well to your students, then you can choose this option. So there are two publishing things that are happening here. One, the slots are getting published to the student dashboard. And the other thing is you're sending a formal email to the student telling them that the slots are published in their dashboard. So, and if you don't want to send that email, choose the option as no, but most likely we have seen use the option email. So once you do that, you get to see this template editor section. You can create your own email using this template section, and then you can customize your template, preview it, and then click on send. Quite similar to how you send out any emails in the system, but all we wanted to call out here is you have the ability to publish first come first serve slots or interview required slots or any slots for that matter to the students and get the interest from them. So this is how you publish the slots. Now once you have published them, it is going to show the status as published. All right. Now let's say you have published 20 slots, but accidentally if you have published all the 20 slots but you want to unpublish 5 or 6 slots, you just have to select those published slots and there is going to be an unpublish slot button over here. It's not there in the screenshot here, but usually there is going to be a button here which will say unpublish, and then you can unpublish those slots. Yeah. So before I go on to the student view, I just want to jump quickly into the screen and quickly show this to you on the live screens. So click on placements, go to the placements for group, go to the slot section here, the list view, select the slots which you would like to publish. Let's say I'm just selecting these. And then click on notify student. You see all the students that are associated with each rotation and all those. So you get to see all those slots in rotation. Then you click on publish slots. So here is where you get the box to tell you whether are you interested to publish these slots. Say yes. Then if you want to email them, you choose the email option. If you do not, just click on no. That's it. But still the slots are published. Now if I go, the screen automatically refreshes here, and then you get to see the status of the slots as published. Yeah, I just want to take a quick pause here before I move on to the student view. Are there any questions, Ami, at this point of time?
No, Ramya. Most of them were answered via the chat.
All right, perfect.
Oh, sorry, I just got one question. Is there a way for an email notification to be sent out to DC when a student expresses their interest in the slot?
Harsha, is this possible today? Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a while. Like once you cover on the student side, once they submit their interest, through student interested column in the slot page, right? We can send that email. We'll cover in the second half.
Okay, so we'll be showing that to you in a bit. Now, so I'm on the student view right now. Now here is where, so the slides tell you this is where the student gets to see the published slots in their dashboard. So they get to see there are 7 published slots. Now once they click on it, they get to see all these slots that are published to them. Now they can choose the option as interested or not interested over here. They, of course, before they even do that, they can click on the location name to see the details about that particular location, right? Like what is the address, what are the requirements, what are the notes, and things like that. All those data related to that slot shows up here. Now they can choose the option as interested or not interested. Now that's how they'll click on interested, and it just locks their interest here. So this is how the student will do it. Now, before I move on to the next section, I just want to log in as a student in the live system and quickly want to show this to you. Now, once they are here, they click on published slots. So they'll see 42 slots. Now they can click on the particular location to see the details of the location and then say interested. Now, here is where they can put in the notes for or the reason why they are making this particular slot, right? Maybe closer to their address, right? Something like that. I mean, they can put in the notes here if they want to upload any document, or if they are going to get an internship from their I mean, if they know someone like the CI at that site or something of that sort, right? They can put in the note here, upload the document, and then click on submit. Now, this is going to send the interest to the school. Now, Harsha, does this send out an email to the faculty at the school or the DCE?
If you can go to the admin side, Ramya, on the list view of the slot, and then sort on the student interested students. If you can scroll to the right a bit, yeah, you can here you can see. Let's say once the students have submitted their interest, you see that one student interested student in that column, right? If you can click on that, yeah, you
Yep.
can click on that. So here you would see all the interested students, like whether they have ranked it via wish list or from the published slot section.
This
Any
is
reason for selection?
got it. Thanks, Harsha. So this is
Yeah,
something where we can notify the site. But to answer the question that came in the chat, so whenever the student expresses an interest, currently we do not have the capability to send out an email notification to the DCE at the school.
yeah.
All you,
To the school we don't have yet. That's something we are looking into.
yeah.
What I was explaining is more to you if you want to send that to the site. But yeah, to the school, if the student submits an interest and a sort of photo notification or an email pop up to the school that we don't have yet, that's something we are looking into.
Yep. So we'll probably enhance that in a bit, but right now we don't have an email notification that goes out to the DCE. But going back to the presentation, so once the student expresses interest, right? So you might want to see, so there is no formal email notification that comes to the DCE, but you would have to go back to the system, click on the slots page, and then you will be able to see the students who are interested at that site in this report or in the same view. All right. And when you click on that particular student, you should be able to see which are the students. Right now, it just shows you the count. And then on hover or on click, it is going to give you the details, like what is the name of the student and at what point of time they submitted this, right? Makes it more first come first serve. So let's say there are 10 students who have who submitted the same interest, right? Or who are all interested to go to the same location, you can sort through their submission and see who submitted the request first. And based on that, notify the site. But this is how you can view the responses. So let me quickly cover this slide. So you were here on the slots page, you will click on this interested students. And once you click on it, this is where you get to see the name of the students and what date they submitted the interest, what date and time, in fact. You're going to see that here, right? Now, some of you would have a need where now you know that there are 10 or 15 students who are interested to go to the same location, right? You want to send this information to the site and get the site feedback on it, right? Maybe out of those 10 students, they wanted to take only 2 students, right? So if you want to notify the site and have them pick from the list of students that you send over, then this is the page you will be ending up in, where you will select the list of students. And then this is the person who is going to receive that notification at that site. So there, if there are multiple instructors, right, you can choose which one to receive this email notification. So you will choose that person and then click on send interest to location. You will compose the email, then click on, of course, you can create your own email template here. Click on preview and then click on send. Yep. So this is going to send an email to your site with a link like this, and they can click on this link and then say whom they are accepting and whom they are rejecting, right? So once they click on this particular link, they are going to see this here like this. So here you have sent out 2 students, right? Like Terry and Cassie are the 2 students who are interested to go to this particular location, and this interest is received at the site. So they see this and now they can choose the response here. They can say it's a preferred match or acceptable match, or they can even say rejected. So they can choose the response option from this drop down and then click on update. That's it. So that's all the site would have to do. So if you are in a need where you wanted to publish the first come first serve slots to the students and get their choice, and based on the first come first serve response, you can pick and choose the students and then send those interested student names to your locations, and then the location can provide back their response, like whether they wanted to take a particular student or not. Now, that's the 360-degree overview of how you can manage the first come first serve slots. And once the site has responded, and then in your view, you will go into the same slots page, and then you will click on the interested students here, and then you get to see the locations response here. Now, based on this, you can make a confirmed placement if it is like either a preferred match or acceptable match, right? So that's how you can collect the locations feedback and make the placement. So you can see the locations response and the locations comment. I just want to take a quick pause here and answer any questions that you may have. Ami, are there any questions?
No, I think we have covered most of them and then answering via the chat. We can move on.
Okay, perfect. So before I even go on to the next section, I just wanted to call this out in the live system, right? So you are in the slots page. So you will go through this placements and then click on the placement group and you end up on the slots page, the list view. So scroll to the right. This is how you see the interested students here. And then you see the name of the student, when did they submit the request on, and then you can choose this and send interest to location. Yeah. So you can see here that there are no email recipients or CIs found. That means there is no contact added here. So you may want to do that update later. Like you go into that particular location, make sure you associate a CI or SEC to this location so that the recipients show up here, and then you can send out the interest to the location. Yep. And once the response is received, you're going to see the response here on this section, right? Okay, so moving back to the slides. So the last topic for today, I think one of you had posted this question, how you can send out the email reminders. So you've started receiving the response, but some of your locations have not responded, or some of the locations have told you to reach back at a later date. So we are going to see how to manage them, right? So you will go into the emails tab, sites, emails tab, and you will click on the send email section here. Now, once you're here, you're going to see all the locations, right? Because this is the page that you had used to send out the slot request. So you are in the same page. Now, you can see the request response as no response, slots offered, contact later, and all this. Now you'll choose the filter. Now in this, choose the request response type as no response, and then save it. Now choose the list of locations, click on save and next, then compose the email, click on next, and then you can obviously, this is your slot request email template. If you want to create your own email template for the reminder, you can also create your custom email template for the reminder, and then choose that reminder template and then click on preview. Again, you can send the emails right away, or you can schedule it for a later date and then click on send. So this is how you can do the reminders. So this is the easiest way that you have scheduled your reminders, and then the reminders are going to go to the site. Again, one of you had asked a question on how you can manage those responses on the email dashboard. So let's say you have scheduled them, you have scheduled the reminders now. So you go into the same email dashboard and then you end up here. So let's say they are all scheduled right now. Let's say you put in a later date. That means that they are all scheduled for a later date. So that's why you see the status as scheduled. Now here is where you choose all those that you have scheduled. If you want to cancel some of them, you click on this X button so that you can cancel them out. Or let's say if you have already sent this out, like let's say you've instead of choosing the schedule option or scheduling it for a later date, you clicked on the send button and all the emails are already sent out, right? In that case, if you want to resend some of them, then you choose the refresh button here to resend some of the emails. So before I go into the questions, I just want to go back to the live system and show whatever we just discussed. So you will click on the site section here, go to the emails, click on the email dashboard, right? And this is where you get to see different statuses. So if you have just scheduled it, it is going to show the status as scheduled. But if you have already sent them, right, and it has gotten delivered, you're going to see the status as delivered. And if somebody has opened the link, it is going to show the status as link clicked, right? If it has bounced, it is going to show the status as bounced. Okay. And then again, so let's say if you want to resend some of them, you can select that and then click on this resend button. Okay. If you want to cancel something, you can just click on the cancel button. So resend is by clicking on the resend button here. Cancel is by clicking on this X button here. And you can always cancel an email that is in the status of scheduled. But if it's already delivered or opened or link clicked, you will not be able to cancel them. You can only resend those emails. Okay. And in this page, you can see some export to Excel option. If you want to export this to an Excel, you can see this. Now, this is the history page, historical page, right? You have all the reminder emails, you have all the slot request emails, all of them are going to be queued up only in this page, right? So you may want to use this from and to filter out by certain dates, so that you can just filter out by the reminder emails, or you can just filter out only by the slot request emails. So if you put in the date as March 1st, whatever got sent out on March 1st, right? Those could probably be your slot request emails. But if you filter it out by March 30th or 31st, right? Probably those are reminders. So that's how you can use this filter efficiently to filter out emails which are slot request emails or which are reminder emails and see the statuses. Okay. So I just want to take a quick pause here and see if there are any questions. Ami, are there any questions?
Yeah, there is one question. Can you clarify when you set up M1M email configuration and we turn on the option to send reminders and the site selected contact later option, will the system automatically generate the email?
Yes. Yep, that's a very good question. I was about to cover it. Sorry, I missed that out. Yeah. So in your configuration, there are certain auto notifications that are available. So if you have chosen this option where an email has to go out to the site whenever they choose the option as contact later, right? Yes, the system is going to send an automated email on that particular date. Let's say if the site chose the date as April 29th, right? On April 29th, an automated email will go back to the site requesting for slots. And again, what email needs to go out? You can decide. So this is the email template. You can edit it. So by default, we have given this. So if you want to edit any of this, I think you would have to put in a request, I think so. But this is the general email that goes out to the site. And obviously you can edit it. Sorry, you can always edit this content and click on save, so that this is the email that is going to go out as an automated message. Yep. Any questions here?
No, I think that are all the questions that I see. Oh, also, Ramya, can you tell like which is the best place to track all of the slot requests that have been sent out to a site? I believe the answer is email dashboard.
Yes. So you will go into the email dashboard to track all the emails that are sent out to the site. And then you will go to the response report to see the slot responses. So email dashboard is going to give you the history of communication, like what is the status of the email. But if you want to see what are the slots that are received, um, whether to contact later or no slots to offer, right? If that's the case, you will go to the response report.
And we also have one more question. Could you clarify that we are still able to edit the automated email reminders after the M1M has gone out?
Yes. When you say the reminder is the auto notification, right? Yes, you can edit it. So anything on the configuration that you see here, right, can be edited even after the emails are sent out. and then the changes will be reflected. But to your specific question, yes, you can come in here, make changes to the email template.
I think one of our client want to see uh, how to automatically send out emails to the site for contact later date. If you can cover that portion again.
Sure, yes. So it is part of your configuration. So you go into the emails tab here. So let's say you have already created the slot request configuration. Click on the edit pen, go to the next step. Just in this section where you see auto notification, right? In there is this option where it says contact later for slots, follow up slot request to sites, right? Make sure to turn this to yes, like this. And then click on this email template. This is the standard template that you have. But if you want to make changes to it, make changes to it and click on save. That's all you need to do. And once you have made these changes, make sure to click on save button here. Now the configuration is updated, and whenever a site chooses the option as contact later and puts in a date, on that particular date, an automated email will go out to the site requesting for slots. And few other tips. Let's say a site tells you that, oh, I have never received the slot request, right? Obviously, whitelist communication is something that you would have to send out. But even after that, if some sites tell you that, the quick way to do send out the link back to them is just go to this email dashboard, click on the request link here, like click on the view option here, right? That's going to tell you the request link. Either you do that through this and then copy the link from here, or instead of even clicking on the request link, you just click on this subject. So here is where you get the actual link. That is a very unique link that got sent to John Smith or this particular recipient. So you can just copy this and send this link alone to your site. So this is one way to send out the link directly to the site who said that I did not receive the email for some reason, right? So you can always copy this delegator link, as we call it, and from your own inbox, you can paste this link and send it out to them. Yeah. And then if you click on view here, you're going to go to the link directly and just start doing things on behalf of the CI. Yeah. So this is another thing. So where, let's say a recipient, let's say this Smith, who is a recipient, who makes a call to you and says, I have 2 inpatient slots to offer for clinical rotation 1, right? Then you come into this report, then you can click on view. That's going to open up the slot request link like this, and then you can just come in here and then click on the edit pen and then add the slots or delete the slots if you want to. Yep. So there are multiple options from the email dashboard. Just thought of sharing this with you. The most important one I would say is just getting this delegator link by clicking on the subject name. Any other questions, Ami?
No, I think we covered all the questions.
Okay. So because we have few more minutes, I remember one of them.
Sorry, I do see a question. Do
Yeah.
you have any consigns instructions on how to direct SECs, like to manage the slot request, wish list request, and everything? I will send out the link to our help center, and it has all the detailed documentation on how to perform each and every step that we have covered so far in all the webinars. So that would be something helpful to everyone. So I'll share it across in the chat.
Yeah. So we have a document which you go when you go to the help center. There is already a document on how the sites can add slots. So yeah, we do have that. But yeah, so I was about to say, like, because we have few more minutes, I wanted to cover the topic of how you can link a student to a slot, right? This is not a FCFS slot. It's just a slot where you want to make a placement. I remember one of you asking this question. If your question is more related to how to make a placement, I'm just going to cover that. So you go into the placements tab here. You go to the particular placements for group. So if your intent is to make a placement, like place a student at a slot, then you go to this placements tab. You get to see all the slots that are available. So you click on that particular slot and then choose the student and then place the student. Now, when you click on this, it is going to ask you to which course offering you are going to place the student for, what's the setting used for the placement, and what's the location. You will choose all these options, and who is the CI, right? You can choose the CI at that site, and who is the faculty for this placement. And then if you want to choose any contacts to be showing up, and if you want to add any notes, you can add that and place the student at that site. Yeah, so that's how you place a student at the available spot. And then once you have made the placement, go to the email and publish tab and select the placement and then click on publish so that the students can see this placement. Yeah. So just thought of covering this because this was one of the questions that came in the beginning. All right. Are there any other questions, Ami?
Yeah, just a moment. How can we pull up a report that shows all the students that have expressed the interest in FCFS?
Right now, we do not have a report which shows you all the students for all the sites who have expressed interest. I can check really quick if that column shows up here. So I'm just trying to see if I can export this into Excel. It usually shows the count of students, but let me export this Excel and see if it shows the name of the student as well. So if you are in the slots report, wherever you're seeing this publish options and then interested student option, right? If you click on this export to Excel, it just is going to put an report. So let me quickly open that report and see if that shows up everything. Yeah, so this is the report that we have. Yeah, I don't think this report tells you who are the students who are interested. It just tells you the number of students, but we'll check on this and get back to you if it is possible or not
Um,
to show the names.
and there's a request. Can you show that the navigation of the reports again from where you?
Sure. Yeah. So if you go under placements and then you click on the specific placements for group, then click on the slots. So this is the same page where you will go in to see all the slots, publish the first come first serve slots, exactly the same location. Okay, the same page, but you will click on the export to Excel option here. Yeah, and then these are all the columns that can show up on this report. You can save the list of columns that you want and then click on export to Excel. And once you export it, it's going to download like this, and then you get to see all the columns that you chose. Yep. Any other questions, Sami?
Um, no, I don't see any more questions. Some of them are being answered in the chat.
Right. Okay. So I think these are, I mean, we come to the end of M1M webinar series for this year. So we were able to have about multiple registrants and participants for this series. We thank you all for your feedback. We are trying to make the webinar better and better based on your feedback. Thank you all so much for taking the time to learn about our product today.